Well friends, today we're discovering together the Ranieri International 255 SL, a boat with an overall length of 7.80 meters and a width of 2.55, making it perfectly trailerable. We'll now take a walk aboard to discover the layout, but as always, remember to leave a like on this video and comment with your opinion. Let's check it out together. At the stern are two swim platforms added to the hull, separate from the engine. The engine in this case is a 300 horsepower Mercury, but the minimum power starts at 200 horsepower, going up to a maximum of 350, available in both single and twin engine configurations. We can see how inside the port swim platform there's the boarding ladder, a ladder that's concealed inside this hatch. This way the walking surface is free of obstacles and at the same time is easily accessible, especially since we have two grab handles integrated in this way, making it much easier to get out of the water and board the boat, also helped by this additional handle position just ahead. As I was saying, the walking surface is unobstructed, which allows comfortable and easy movement from one side to the other, so you can take advantage of both swim platforms completely independently from each other. And the shipyard also offers the possibility of installing a platform here, positioned above the engine compartment, to have even more ease in moving from side to side. And of course the platform is equipped with hinges to allow for full engine tilt at the same time. Here we notice at the bottom the waste plug for black water discharge and the power outlet that we'll see as we continue with the onboard presentation, while here there's the shower for rinsing in the stern area. There's obviously the mooring cleat positioned here on the gunnel, a Ranieri International silk-screened cleat like so many accessories aboard, so we can access without any problems the interior of the cockpit. You see, boarding is facilitated by the symmetrical double walkway, which allows you to enter the boat without any difficulty. Since the walking surface has no height differences over the entire walkable surface, so there are no obstacles on deck, and it's very simple to literally move 360 degrees within the boat. And we're also well protected by the bulwarks that are high all the way from the stern, giving us great security. And we're also helped by the stern rail, a real enormous handrail. Look here how generous it is, which allows for great comfort while providing a solid grip for less experienced people. In the center of the stern we notice instead the presence of this linear sofa. A sofa that's modular, since the backrest can be flipped toward the bow so we can have a real view of the engines. Or create a small living area toward the stern with a dedicated engine view to be able to interact with people on the dock when we're moored, or comfortably when we're with children in the water, for example, and thus be able to keep an eye on them without any problems. Plus the sofa has internal storage. By lifting the hatch we have access to the technical compartment with batteries and systems, bilge pump and plenty of space for stowage. And as we can see from the hole installed here on the deck, we can mount a fixed base with table to create a rear dinette, or on request we can have a system of flip-up benches that lift up beneath the sofa to expand the relaxation area, since it creates one large sun pad and thus gives priority to comfort here in the stern area. Inside the bulwarks, however, there are two more reclining flip-down seats. This way they disappear within the profile of the bulwark to avoid taking up additional space, and thus allow for easy movement on board, as I was saying. But at the same time we can safely open them up and thus create two additional seats, keeping in mind the table configuration. You create a living area for up to 5 people on a boat of this size, and it's really not bad at all. There are also two additional storage pockets positioned here inside the bulwarks to further increase the storage space and thus be able to keep everything tidy inside the boat, while centrally just ahead is the seating unit. The seating unit in this layout in the living version is equipped at the rear with a kitchen block, an outdoor kitchen with a sink positioned on the port side, while on the starboard side in this configuration there's a comfortable work surface. But upon request it's also possible to install a cooktop with an induction plate, obviously equipping the boat with an inverter as well. Below there's also a hinged refrigerator, while on the left there's space for storing items, and at the same time we can perform routine maintenance on the refrigerator motor since it's easily accessible from inside. Upon request, we can choose to replace the entire seating unit with two single-seat armchairs that can rotate 360 degrees to have a larger rear living area while sacrificing the presence of the sink and cooktop. We move toward the bow. Look, we always have help with handholds and supports positioned on practically all deck accessories. This way, as I was saying, we're always well protected inside the boat. We always have a firm grip to facilitate movement even at high speeds. And furthermore, the bulwarks are equipped with this padding, which therefore offers greater comfort, since I can also press with my knees or possibly lean against it without any kind of problem. Since we hardly ever come into contact with the gel coat, but there's this very comfortable padding. We then arrive at the helm station. We notice the presence of a rather large sofa for 3 people with adjustable and independent bolsters. This way, each person can choose the configuration they prefer most, so I can easily position myself at the helm. You see it's well within reach in front of me. I'm positioned in backrest mode on the bolster at the starboard end. This way, there's also space for 2 people, so I can steer with complete autonomy, holding the helm with my left hand and operating the throttle with my right hand. And I can also take advantage of the step, which is also silk-screened and non-slip coated with EVA foam for greater comfort, and thus be able to relax during navigation, while at the same time having full control of what happens 360 degrees around us, because as you can see, we have no obstacles in our field of vision. The helm station features a single SIMRAD display, in this case NSS4 look, positioned practically vertically. This way, to always have full control and full readability of data even in bright light, as in this case, so we don't have any kind of difficulty since we don't have to look away excessively to check the instruments. And at the same time, there's the interface with the Mercury engines directly through NMEA 2000 to have information not only about navigation on the fish finder, but also about the engine status. This way, there's a single display to control all onboard utilities with the switches positioned on the sides instead, again to constantly have everything under control. There's also the possibility to store your smartphone through this setup. Here's the smartphone compartment, while here there's a really convenient cup holder, because this way we can keep everything organized. There's the zip wake display, which this boat is equipped with to automatically control the trim, and therefore be able to cruise peacefully without having to worry about balance on board. So people can position themselves however they prefer, without having to ask the crew to move around to balance the trim. Obviously, there's also the stereo system with 4 speakers positioned here inside the gunnels and also down toward the bow, but we'll see that as we continue with the presentation, with here the USB port controller and obviously a charger for smartphones. The ignition key is not missing, while down here is the VHF radio, which is also quickly accessible, while here below there's a convenient storage compartment that at the same time allows access to inspect the connections for any eventuality. Look at the height of the windshield, which offers protection up to the chest and above all is curved to offer less aerodynamic drag to optimizing performance without sacrificing comfort. Moving toward the bow, I point out here the presence of the fuel tank filler cap on the port gunnel, while on the starboard side there's the provision for the water tank filler. And look, we always remain constantly protected within the gunnels. As I was telling you, we're on a single deck level, so we can safely walk around on board. The width is more than adequate for its category. So we don't have obstacles, we don't have to perform special maneuvers, and at the same time there's also this well-finished handrail made from the steel profile of the windshield, which is found on both sides. This way, at any point on the boat, we have a handrail or support point. Moving toward the bow, I point out how the gunnel begins to lower, but the safety rail immediately intervenes to keep the height constantly maintained for protection, but at the same time not excessively weigh down the boat's lines, and here there's always padding to provide greater comfort. Since look, the deck surface is more than adequate for its category, I can safely walk around on board without having to shift my body, since the width also remains constant and there are no obstacles. We then arrive at the bow area entirely covered with cushions. As in this case, you see this configuration, there's a rather comfortable and practical sun pad, with also 2 backrests. Removable here in the aft portion. This way 2 additional quite comfortable seats are created to increase onboard comfort, and additionally we can choose to remove the central portion to increase the walkable surface and thus facilitate movement, or mount a fixed base by obviously raising the table and removing the cushion to create an additional forward dinette that's really very comfortable. Since with this configuration we managed to have 2 totally independent areas, one in the stern area and one in the bow area, depending on each owner's requirements, and therefore also very useful for charter rentals. Forward of the cockpit instead we find the backrest, quite wide and generous padding for 2 people, creating a very comfortable 2-seater chair. Also equipped with 2 other handholds. I want to emphasize this precisely for greater safety on board at any point on the vessel. While below the side cushions we find 2 lockers to increase storage space and where to also store safety equipment. This way we manage to keep the entire deck surface free of obstacles. Moving to the bow section, we see that here there are 2 supports also covered in synthetic material to increase grip, and at the same time the horizontal surface is more than generous, which allows for comfortable and easy movement and the ability to board and disembark when bow mooring without any difficulty, while here, inside the hatch we find the windlass, hidden from view with an inspection hatch for the chain locker, allowing access to service the windlass motor itself. In case of extraordinary maintenance, or we can remove the entire panel since, as you can see, there are screws, allowing us to intervene for any issues. As I was saying, the windlass is hidden here inside the locker, but the anchor is set here below in the hawse pipe, so it's not visible from the helm station. But we can easily request the installation of a camera so that one person can perform all anchoring operations while comfortably remaining at the helm station. The bow equipment is completed by the guardrail that closes below the step, plus of course the double cleat for mooring and 2 very convenient cup holders to enhance relaxation in the bow area. But now let's head back toward the stern. I'll use the starboard passage to show you the ease of movement on board as we go inside. Cabin entry is on the port side of the helm station with a sliding door. And we notice that upon entering there are 3 steps to reduce the height difference while allowing comfortable and easy entry, because there's a central hallway that's quite wide for this category, which allows this area to be used as a changing room, and we're also helped by the handles positioned here at the cabin entrance to provide a solid handhold for less experienced people and facilitate both entry and exit, while air circulation is provided by the double porthole, so we can easily close ourselves inside the cabin and change clothes using it as we prefer. And additionally, in this configuration there's a head positioned here inside this compartment. The head is hidden from view, but when needed we can easily use it by lifting the folding covers and access it without any problems, while at the same time in rest mode, as in this case, we can easily use this surface as a shelf in addition to the one positioned here on the port side, so it's very convenient for storing all bags and keeping them quickly within reach, while here, below deck level, the shipyard has created another very convenient compartment where practically anything can be stored, keeping the deck free of obstacles. Let me finally show you the interior height. Look, it's more than generous for a 7.80 meter boat, and inside I can stand comfortably and move around because, as I was telling you, the floor space is fully usable at any point in the cabin, while here inside, positioned toward the bow, we can also request the installation of an additional refrigerator to always have fresh drinks on board, and it's very convenient, for example, if we don't want to install the living seating as in this configuration. So we have a 7.80 meter boat with single or twin outboard engines according to each owner's choice, but which at the same time offers us tremendous space, and the interior compartment is very comfortable, not only for daily outings but also for charter use, since we can assure our clients full privacy and thus be able to make long daily outings without any kind of problem, and it is also very convenient if we want to have small children. While comfort on board is also ensured by the presence of the optional tent, we can choose not only the presence of a flight top in this arrangement, but also the installation of Arabian tent poles to shade the entire aft portion, or optionally the bow area, or the traditional roll bar or bimini. And so dear friends, this is the Ranieri International 255 SL. As always, if you enjoyed the video, I invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel and Facebook page, leave a like and tag people you think might be interested. And as always, for all upcoming videos, see you always here on this.
The sea team.